If you're listening to this podcast, you must recognize the value of asking questions. At Aramco, our questions help us engineer a better future. How can today's resources fuel our shared tomorrow? How can we deliver energy to a world that can't stop? How can we deliver one of the fuels of the future? How can we sow curiosity to harvest ingenuity? To learn more about how innovation drives us forward, visit aramco.com/poweredbyhow.
How do you make your accounts payable work better, faster, and smarter? Automate your AP from spending requests right through to payment with Concur Invoice. Accelerate invoice processes, see spending upfront, and find real cost savings. You'll also be giving time back to your team to focus on the work that matters most. Move your business forward with SAP Concur Solutions. Visit concur.com to learn more.
Ever wonder why people don't get the care they need? Why their care isn't the best it can be? Ever wonder if home care could be as safe and effective as hospital care? So patients get hospital-quality care during home treatment. Ever wonder if you could drive out waste so organizations could save billions? Health needs the power of wonder and bold ideas in pharmacy, care, and benefit solutions. Ever wonder who can do that? Wonder no more. Evernorth brings wonder to health services. Learn more at evernorth.com.
That we can get kids in front of the agricultural world, I think the more they'll embrace it generation after generation.
G'day and welcome to this week's segment of Farm Yarns, where we dive behind the audio to find out who inspires our guests, what motivates them, what they would like to debunk, and also what resources they lean on to get the most out of their agri-business. So let's get down to it. Farm Yarns. Forward again. Well, Lawrence, we had you on earlier on in the week talking everything Case IH within the sugar industry, and your passion really shined through the clouds there and came down. And for those that not in the industry, caught a glimpse of it, and those in the industry actually had a good little update to see what the innovation is going on. But welcome to Farm Yarns, Lawrence.
Thanks, Jack. Thanks for having me again.
Absolutely. So we're getting into a different industry here, and routines may or may not change, but what's your morning routine?
Look, for me, Jack, it's wake up in the morning, go and have a coffee, try and get to the gym for a good little hour session. It's a good way just to clear the mind, and then embrace whatever meeting or email might come across my desk. But that's my morning ritual.
That's a good way to say embrace waiting for those emails to start rolling in.
Yeah.
And before we continue in this episode, I wanted to ask, in the last episode with Case IH, do you have a sweet tooth being in the sugar industry, or you tend away from the lollies?
No, I actually do have a sweet tooth, but it's more to the chocolate. I'm a big fan of chocolate, not so much the cakes or ice creams, but yeah, definitely the chocolate and lollies.
What's your chocolate block that you go for? Surely fruit and nut.
No, it's the Old Gold original.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
That's out there. I just had to ask. I'm a lolly fiend. Any lolly, sour especially, gets me going. So beautiful. Good to hear that you've got a sweet tooth. Being in the industry, quite easy as well.
Yeah.
And actually, what's a billet? Have you ever chewed down on a billet? It wouldn't be sweet yet, would it?
Yeah, it actually is, but it's a different type of sweet. It's actually, every now and again when you're waiting for the cane harvester to pull up or a farmer to come over and have a yarn, you normally do break off a little bit. It's a different sweet, but it's you can't have too much of it because it actually makes you feel a little bit unwell. It's very, very sweet. So, and of course that then changes with different varieties of the sugarcane as well.
Yeah, right. Good to see and hear. But for yourself, this is a pretty cool question. We get different responses all the time. But in 60 seconds, tell me your first memory on farm.
My first memory on farm would be sitting in a Case IH International trike tractor with a good family friend, understanding that it was very important not to run over the sugar cane.
Beautiful. And I think as every young kid in agriculture, or not in agriculture, outside of it, hopping in that piece of machinery really got the blood flowing and thinking of getting into ag and doing the crop?
Definitely. I think the more that we can get kids in front of the agricultural world, I think the more they'll embrace it, generation after generation.
Yeah, 100%. And wherever their senses are, hopping in the tractor maybe for one person, but also doing the office works or something for the younger ones, maybe what they're more inclined towards. But for yourself, along your professional and also personal experiences, being a generational farmer, who's been your most influential person in your life?
Would be my father and uncle. They're two people that joined the industry at a very young age. My father joined the industry at the age of 14,
Yep.
and still continues in the industry today. And also my uncle, the industry has taken him all around Australia, working wholly and solely on agricultural equipment.
Unreal. That might be just another piece of farms advice we might have to tap into later. We'll have to get the details off you.
Yep, more than happy to have a chat.
Absolutely. And a myth you'd like to debunk about the sugar industry, is there any out there?
No, not really. No, I wouldn't say there's too much out there as such. No.
All good. And how do you look at risk in life and work?
Look, for me, risk both in life and at a work level, it's all about trying to take the risk, but having the control on the risk. So then you can control the outcome and make sure that it's a measurable outcome. Risk, I think, allows you to grow, both as a person and your knowledge. Um, Once upon a time, I was probably scared of risk, but coming into Case IH Australia at the age of 24, it was a big risk for me at that time, but it's something that also has been very energizing and rewarding. So risk, I think you need to measure it, but also don't be scared of the outcome.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a really well put towards risk and how it works in life and work. But for yourself, what's one tool you couldn't live without?
I couldn't live without my own time. I'm a person where I'm very always going, going, going. I live in a small country town of Ayr, up in North Queensland, where I have a lot of customers, and I'm always on the go. I'm always very highly strung because I like to talk to our customers and embrace what they're doing within our local community. So for me, one thing I couldn't live without is my own time. I like to come and debrief myself on a day-to-day basis. And like I said earlier in this podcast, going to the gym in the morning and even at night time, before I cook dinner or whatnot, I like to have a glass of wine and just debrief on the day. So for me, I couldn't live without my own time.
A bit of me time never hurts anyone. Is it a glass of red or a glass of white?
And it's a glass of red.
Beautiful. I do like a red. I'm not the biggest fan of white, but it's growing on me.
Yeah, I'm a little bit the same.
Absolutely. And if you could go back to your 18-year-old self, what would be the one piece of advice you would give, or maybe even 14 in that transitional period of what your dad was?
For me, the one piece of advice that I would give myself back then, or even at the age of 18, was take every opportunity with two hands. Don't do it half-hearted.
Beautifully put. And I think you're doing nothing half-hearted. The passion you've shown in the last two episodes being pretty phenomenal, and how you get your work done. And talking of work done, what time of period of the day do you actually get your best work done? You go to the gym in the morning. Does that set you up for the win the day?
Yeah, so talking to overseas, our factories, they're, if you look at Brazil, they're actually 12 hours behind us. So for me, get home from the gym, say around 6:30 in the morning, have a little bit of breakfast, normally in front of the computer, or the download of the emails has already happened. So from 7 o'clock till 9:30 is probably my peak time. I like to punch everything out that I have to have either answered or questions I would like to ask to the factory.
Yep.
or to the platform teams. So yeah, probably that early morning period for me, Jack, is when I'm up and going, but also talking to Austria and Basildon on the different tractor ranges, both Puma and Optum ranges. It's then again, say from 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock at night. So they're probably my two peak periods.
Well managed, and especially across different time zones too, I'd imagine.
Yeah, yeah, and also in saying that, the guys on the other side of the world are very understanding as well, which is good and helps.
Good to hear. And what would be your number one productivity hack? You may have touched on it a little bit before, but can you expand on it if that's the same thing?
Yeah, it definitely is. Like, for me, I think it's about trying to clear your mind from one situation to another situation, trying to take the emotions and the effects out of play.
Yeah.
For me, Jack, customers are front and center of everything that I do. From a work point of view, for me as a personal person, it's about um, friends, family, partners in life. I think for me, I try and give it 100%, but I also give each different situation 100% of my mind, 100% of my ability, and carrying over some of the feelings and emotions from one situation to another does dilute the outcome. So for me, and something, Jack, if you ever get time, look it up on YouTube. I love it so much. It's called your third space, allowing yourself to be distanced from the last thing that you came out of, and putting 100% into the next.
Beautiful. And I think you're the man with all the answers. Did you always want to be in agriculture?
Yes. Yeah. So I think for me, it also started, very, very, very young. I've got an Italian heritage, and my nonno always used to have his own veggie patch, and understanding, when a plant would turn into seed and then turn into a new plant the following year, or preparing the ground for the next veggie patch. I think dirt was always under my nails, and I really, really did enjoy it. I also did enjoy building. I used to be a kid that used to muck around with balsa wood boats, or Dad used to bring me home an old whippersnipper from the dump that I used to pull apart and try and understand. So agricultural, pulling stuff apart, thinking of different ways, was definitely always in my mind. And I think agricultural brings all of that together.
Yeah, it certainly does. And I think when I was a kid, I used to pull everything apart and I'd see the motor in a old washing machine. I was like, I'll turn that into a boat. Never happened, but I had the idea, so that's what counts.
Yeah, and that's what's great about agricultural, is about having the ideas and the dreams, and being able to bring them alive for a different outcome or a better outcome.
100% and well put. But for this one, we'll end it in a tongue twister and another question after. But if you weren't doing what you're doing, what would Lawrence be doing?
Helping people with mental health. I am very, very passionate about that situation within agricultural. It can be sometimes a very lonely place out in the farm. It can also be a very lonely place when you're sitting in a header or a cane harvester, or even a tractor for that sake, there by yourself. So for me, again, it's mental health. It's about keeping that glass full for the right reasons. So if I wasn't doing what I'm doing today and loving what I'm doing today, it would definitely be working in the mental health system.
Yeah, beautiful. And also keeping that glass full, full of positive things to work on yourself and keep you occupied, or even going back to what you said before about you having your me time with that glass of red. And I think that can be quite powerful as well. So, but if you have anyone working within mental health streams, I'm trying to deliver an episode a month or something just to keep that in front of mind for farmers out there. So there'll be something else to talk about.
Yeah, great. I work with a local group here that I'd be more than happy to talk about. Cause which was developed many years ago due to a terrible situation. And yeah, we do workshops all around Queensland, trying to get people more aware of mental health and how life changing it can be by having that conversation with someone and actually asking the words, "Are you okay?"
Yeah, amazing, Lawrence, and good to see it's happening up there in Queensland as well. But before you go, we need some good book recommendations. Are you a bookworm within agriculture or further afield, fiction, non-fiction?
Look, I do like to read. I wouldn't say I'm the best reader, but I do like to have a read. And it was actually recommended to me by a very close friend earlier this year called "The Happiest Man on Earth." I don't know if you've heard that, but it's about a person that went to war, but then also went through all the terrible different camps, but then also came out of the other side and made some big changes and made some big push forwards in his own life and also changed other people's lives. So for me, The Happiest Man on Earth is a very dark story, but comes out with a beautiful light at the end of it. And I think that's also what we do in agriculture. We sometimes have the downs, and when the downs are down, the ups are always definitely higher, and we try to bounce back as high as we can. So for me, I do take a lot out of The Happiest Man on Earth. Look, it took me a long time to read it because I was coming backwards and forwards from it, but it's definitely a book that I recommend to anybody out there that likes a good read and something that really gets you motivated to make a difference.
Absolutely. And I think it may have changed you because coming off these 2 episodes, you've done really well. And I've actually got that book sitting on my shelf. I just haven't got around to reading that one. I've got a fair few in front of it currently. But
well, you got to read it, Jack. It's fantastic.
Absolutely. It's a great recommendation. And off the back of that, thanks for coming on to Farm Yarns, Lawrence. Great to see the person behind the audio. What's going on and what's actually the key drivers of what you do?
Thanks for having me, Jack. Appreciate your time.
You can't actually see what I'm wearing for every conversation, but be sure I'm wearing a Farms Advice green, as I like to call it, kindly supplied by Stockman & Co. By the farmers, for the land. Jason and team over there do a stellar job, so check them out at stockmanandco.com. Get some quality work shirts, footy shorts, hats and more for this summer. Make sure you use the discount code that they supplied just for Farms Advice listeners, Farms Advice 10. Make sure you get into it. This Farms Advice episode does not stop here. Come and join the conversation on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok, and even join our Facebook group. Go to farmsadvice.com.au for more on this episode and spread the hashtag FarmsAdvice to your mates. If you can leave a review on Apple or Spotify, that will let other farmers find us too. But until then, see you next Tuesday. In the spirit of reconciliation, the Farms Advice podcast acknowledges the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea, and community. We pay our respect to their elders, past and present, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander people today.
If you're listening to this podcast, you must recognize the value of asking questions. At Aramco, our questions help us engineer a better future. How can today's resources fuel our shared tomorrow? How can we deliver energy to a world that can't stop? How can we deliver one of the fuels of the future? How can we sow curiosity to harvest ingenuity? To learn more about how innovation drives us forward, visit aramco.com/poweredbyhow.
Industry is changing. From electricity generated like this to sustainable alternatives optimized and distributed by AI. From cars assembled like this to greener vehicles delivered efficiently with cloud-based insights. At Aviva, we're helping industries lead this change. By connecting their teams with trusted insights, they're operating smarter, engineering better, and finding new ways to provide life's essentials. Find out more at takesyouthere.aveva.com. Aviva will take you there.
Ever wonder why people don't get the care they need? Why their care isn't the best it can be? Ever wonder if home care could be as safe and effective as hospital care? So patients get hospital-quality care during home treatment. Ever wonder if you could drive out waste so organizations could save billions? Health needs the power of wonder and bold ideas in pharmacy, care, and benefit solutions. Ever wonder who can do that? Wonder no more. Evernorth brings wonder to health services. Learn more at evernorth.com.